Hare Krishna everyone, hope you had a lovely day. Welcome to Soma Vedic Astrology channel. Today we will discuss about the placement 8th lord in the 6th house. What do you mean by the lord of the house in Vedic astrology? Now each planet has got a responsibility of handling either one or two houses. So this planets become the lord of those houses. Now look at this table to see which planet is the lord of which zodiac sign. So if you see this table, Mars is the lord of two zodiac signs, which is Aries and Scorpio. Venus is the lord of two zodiac signs, Taurus and Libra. So in this way, each of the planet has gotten a department to handle either one or two zodiac signs. Now let us try to understand that with an example. Now for example, if in your chart third lord is in the fourth house, so how you conclude whether third lord is in fourth house? So if you see, this is the first house where 12 is written, this is the second house where 1 is written, and this is the third house where 2 is written. Now what is 2? If we have a look at the table, then 2 is nothing but the Taurus zodiac sign. And who is the lord of Taurus zodiac sign? It is Venus. Okay, so what you will say then, lord of the third house is Venus. Okay, because it is the lord of the Taurus zodiac sign. And but where is Venus placed? Now Venus is placed in the fourth house of the birth chart. So this is how you will conclude that third lord is in the fourth house. So today we will check the placement 8th lord in the 6th house, but before that I have already made detailed videos on what all things can we see from the 6th house as well as from the 8th house. Please go and check that out before proceeding with this video. Also, a small disclaimer. Please note that this is a general prediction depending only on the placement of a lord in a specific house. Accurate results will only come after considering the zodiac sign, planets, dignity of the planets, retrogression, combustion, aspects, nakshatra, ascendant, shardbal, conjunction, and your running time period, which is Mahadasha, Antardasha, etc. Now, 8th lord is going 11 places away and sitting in the 6th house. 11 places away shows areas of life where you gain from, areas of life where you have desires. So, with this placement, where 8th lord of secrecy is going into the 6th lord of deaths, diseases, divorces, and 11 places away. So, you will be gaining from secret events or transformational events of your life caused via deaths, diseases, divorce, enemies, or war. Now, 6th house is part of the Artha Trikon. So, Artha Trikon in any chart deals with earning money, managing money, saving money so that one can live in this material existence of life. On the other hand, 8th house is part of the Moksha Trikon. So, Moksha Trikon in any chart deals with detachment from the materialistic aspects of life and moving ahead in the spiritualistic realms. So when these two houses are getting linked to each other, obviously your primary motivation will be to earn money, but along with that you will also would like to heal people and do it with a greater cause in mind. So with this placement you are going to get some form of healing ability after extensive and rigorous life training on dealing with sudden events, disasters, and emergency kind of situations. Now, both 6th and 8th house are part of the Dushtana houses. Now, Dushtana houses are those houses in the chart wherein there are certain negative experiences attached to it which nobody likes to experience in their life. When we talk about the 6th house as Dushtana, it deals with debt traps, dealing with your competitors, dealing with enemies, litigations, court cases, disputes, poverty, victimhood, misery, exploitation. All this is part of the 6th house. When we talk about the 8th house, it deals with sudden events, unfortunate and unlucky events, miserable situations, droughts, any kind of natural man made disasters. So, all this is part of the eighth house, accidents. So when these two dusthana houses are getting linked to each other, the time period of this particular dasha will definitely not be a smoother one because of the natural dusthana elements being attached. So something major will happen during the start of this time period, but because it is also a viparit raj yoga situation, there will definitely be a silver lining, reward, or some good coming out of even the toughest of the situations that you will be facing. Now, sixth house, apart from being a Dusthana, is also an Upachya house. So, Upachya houses are those houses in the chart wherein initially you don't have much experience and knowledge on how to deal with the situation, but as and when you gain both the positive as well as the negative experiences, you become mature, you become wise, you learn to deal with all kind of experiences and situations that comes your way. So sixth house related things improves with time. So when eighth lord of dusthana is going and sitting in the sixth house, initially will not be able to handle the tough situations that you comes your way. You will be very petrified on how am I going to deal with so many obstacle that is coming your way. But you will be able to overcome that weakness of yours, and you will be able to deal with any and all kind of situations, negative positive, that comes your way, because the upacha house basically helps you to improve your management of tough and extreme situations with time. Now, as we discussed, both the houses are dusthana houses. So when one dusthana lord goes and sits into an another dusthana law house, it is called as a viparit raj yoga. Now viparit means reversing something. So it is basically that just is some kind of tough situation will come your way, and then depending on your capability, grit, determination, and also depending on how strong your lagna lord is, then you will be able to reverse that unfortunate or unfathomable kind of a situation, to bring it into your profitability. So this is the general gist of viparit raj yoga. Now, when we specifically talk about eighth lord going into the sixth house, it is a type of Vipreet Raj Yoga which is called as Sarala Vipreet Raj Yoga. Now, Sarala means something which is simple and straightforward, which is quite ironical because eighth lord of instability, something which you totally did not see coming and something which you will have very little time to prepare for. Okay, something like this is going and sitting in another Dusthana house, and then it is being named as simple and straightforward, is definitely quite ironical to give this. But basically it might mean that even whatever tough situation that comes your way, you will have to try to find out the most simplest solution on how you can overcome it. And sarla also means truthful and honest. So this is a time period where you will get multiple chances of coming out of a situation by cheating or by shortcuts. But here what you need to learn is, especially when this time period is activated, on overcoming a tough situation via integrity, truthful, and honesty. So sarla here basically means it is a trait which you will have to develop in your character when this time period is activated. Now, Viparita, as we already discussed, it means success comes after period of long struggle, adversities, and after facing multiple difficult situations in this time period. You will be earning from misfortunate events, unlucky events of yourself or of others, or the unlucky situations of others. Now, ability to recover from a traumatic situation is also a theme of this time period. Okay, some kind of traumatic situation might happen, could be fire related accidents, theft, robbery, exploitation, or accident in general. And then you will have to then learn to deal with and how to deal with such kind of traumatic situation. This could be one of the theme. Another theme could be conquering one of your deepest, darkest hidden fears. What is something that you most feared of might happen, and then the journey of you becoming fearless after uh, basically experiencing what you did not want to experience. So that is kind of another theme which could take place. So basically, eighth lord gives transformation and rebirth. It gives you change of your identity. So you will be kind of having a complete rebirth and redevelopment of your personality due to dealing with tough situations during this time period. Now, some examples of the placement first could be overcoming or giving up on bad habits because of something transformational which happened to you. Sixth house represents bad habits, which is why this example is there. Another example could be getting a clean sheet, but after getting severe blames and accusations related to something which is signified by the eighth lord. Eighth lord is a lord of blame games, accusations. So, because it is a Viparit Raj Yoga which is there in this placement, it means you can get a clean sheet, but that is again a reward or a silver lining which will come later. Initially, though, you will have to face those blames and accusations. This is a general theme, right? Initially there will be hurdles, blames, adversities, and then at the end there will be a silver lining. This is a gist of this placement. Next could be getting remedies for black magic related situations. Next could be getting a new partner after painful breakup, separation, divorce, or loss of first long term partner, because sixth house shows contracts. Okay, it's a natural house of Uttar Falguni Nakshatra. It shows agreements, how much one is able to fulfill their promises, marriage promises, any kind of agreements, contracts which is signed. It could be legal contract, marriage contract, any kind of contracts, right? So eighth lord of Dusthana, which gives instability, ups and downs, fluctuation, is coming and sitting in the sixth house of agreements. Possibility of one painful separation is there with the first, but then silver lining could be you get a second one which could be more suitable for you in the future. Another example could be gaining due to someone else's downfall. So basically, let's say somebody who is senior to you might leave his or her position at work due to some reasons, whatever personal reasons, but then you become the next person who is eligible for that vacant position, right? So this could be some situation which could be turning out. Another could be gaining from potential scandalous situation. So eighth lord is a lord which shows scandal. So there are multiple examples in public media already where people have turned their fortunes after entering into some form of scandal. Now, another example is becoming an inspiration or a role model to others after recovering from a chronic health issue. Eighth Lord shows long term illnesses which just doesn't go easily. So, you could become an inspiration or role model on how you are able to recover from these kind of health issues. Another example could be sudden foreign opportunities. So, eighth Lord shows sudden events in the sixth house of your routine daily work, which aspects your 12th house of foreign lands. So sudden foreign opportunities which helps you to increase your pay scale substantially could be another example. Now, getting help of exceptional doctors for recovery from illness is possible. Either exceptional doctors or exceptional medical procedures which might not have, let's say, possible to access that in your home country, but then you research about it and then you get, okay, there's some another country where I can have the treatment for a much lesser cost and can get that treatment successfully. successfully, then you go and get that kind of medical treatment from some other country, which helps you to recover from illness and also helps you to save cost. So this is another example. Then getting good defense lawyer for representing your case. Again, we are not discussing who was right or who was wrong, but basically we are talking about how the vipareet theme is working here. Like some adversity hits up, and then you also get a saving grace from some external person, or some form of saving grace which helps you to recover from that situation. Another example is escaping near death situations and critical illnesses with as little damages as possible. Relative here, this is relative to other people who might be in the same adverse situation. So you have to compare you to all those people who were there in that adverse situation. So compared to them, you might escape with as little damages as possible. And then probably one writes a book on how one's experience was with those kind of situations. Another example is gaining immensely via service to others, because sixth house is a house where you have to be of service to others. So billionaire leaving some portion of wealth to his or her servant due to his constant service, good conduct, loyalty. So these are just generic examples, might or might not be true for your case. We are just discussing on how generally a Vipareet Raj Yoga is working, right? Now, another example is success via one's strict, disciplined attitude and consistency in career and in life in general, right? So, we all know that some people have talent and some people like are normal people, right? So, normal people can also be successful via consistent efforts which is put daily basis. Another person who has talent but if does not hone the talent, does not work on it, it is of no use. So with this placement, it gives you the strength at least to work disciplined manner every day, so that you become the next day you are better than your previous day. So this disciplined attitude can take you far away in life. So success comes after a period of strict disciplinary regimen in your everyday, where you are able to basically, okay, so this could be taken like in career, where you are putting efforts every day and one day you get that position. You can take it in the form of competitive examination. Let's say fourth and eighth lord is in sixth house, so you are working for some kind of competitive examination where you have to have a strict daily routine of studying all the subjects which is needed to be studied for that, to excel in that competitive examination. So this is how we can see, but hard work and effort will be needed to get that final success. Another example could be coming out of poverty. Sixth house also shows poverty via strategic risks. Eighth house is the house of risky things, but again, this is again a very dicey thing, because risks needs to be taken as per one's appetite. If one takes too bigger risk, then it becomes too difficult to escape it if things go wrong. Another example is producing international level documentaries on how one managed to commit some crimes. Now this also is there in the public domain. Multiple examples of this is there. Now eighth lord shows criminal activities and sixth house is a house which shows victimhood. So with this placement, this is a good placement to work in hospitals, because eighth lord is the lord which shows emergency situations, and you see an emergency ward in the hospital. Then in defense industry, army, fire department, disaster management and recovery related fields, working in the war zones, working in trauma as a trauma counselor and a therapist, working in insurance taxation department, or helping prisoners, drug victims, refugees, or victims in general is what is beneficial with this placement, especially when this dasha gets activated. Eighth lord is a lord which shows secrecy, and sixth house is a house of enemies and obstacles. So with this placement, there is a possibility of hidden enemies putting obstacles in your life. Now, eighth lord is a lord which shows sudden gains and losses, and sixth house is the house of debts and loans. So with this placement, possibility of sudden losses by taking huge amount of debt is possible. So um, it is very important for you to take loan only based on your risk appetite. Now, eighth lord shows longevity, and sixth house is a house of diseases and daily routine. So, with this placement, there is a possibility of lifelong some or the other health issue or diseases which might impact the longevity. But if Lagna Lord is strong, then you have the courage to overcome any kind of such situation. If there are other beneficial aspects looking at this placement, then things improves to a much greater extent. And it is always beneficial with this placement to do either meditation, yoga, exercise, or any form of basic physical activity, as basic as walking. Just include some of the physical activity in your daily routine. Now, eighth lord shows incurable chronic illness, sudden gains and losses, and sixth house is a house of diseases. So, if this is afflicted, then there is a possibility of getting incurable disease or chronic disease becomes high. Incurable disease will be related to what exactly the eighth lord is. Possibility of huge expenses on the treatment of this disease could be there. So when this dasha period starts, try to take a medical insurance before it if it's not there already. Now, eighth lord shows all kind of physical pleasures, and sixth house is a house of staff, co-workers, servants. So possibility of engaging physically either with one's servants, staff, co-workers is there. Again, depends on what exactly the planet is, and depends on the entire chart. Might not happen in all the cases, just we are seeing different scenarios with the same placement. But even if this happens, then it should be very important on what the intention is. Intention should not be to take advantage of anyone in such kind of situations to benefit yourself. Now, eighth lord is a lord which shows events of losses and gains, and sixth house is a house of accidents. So with this placement, possibility of encountering sudden accidents and then surgery could be there. So basically a vipreet thing will be there when this time period is activated. Eighth lord is a lord which shows private parts, and sixth house is also the house of diseases. So if this is severely afflicted, possibility of diseases related to private parts, STD, sexual diseases, skin issues could be there. But again, we need to see what eighth lord is, whether other beneficial aspects are there or not. We need to see multiple things to conclude anything. Do not take any of this as a conclusive statements. Eighth lord shows sudden gains and losses, and sixth house shows conflicts. So with this placement, you might gain financially due to either conflict of yourself, basically conflicts that you are dealing with, or conflict of some third party, right? Some two people are fighting, and then you go and try to take advantage of their fight. So something of a scenario where you gain financially because of conflicts is what is the theme of this placement. Now, eighth lord shows incurable diseases, and sixth house shows daily routines. So your daily routine here might involve dealing with incurable diseases. Now, it could be either your incurable disease, or it can also mean that you are a doctor or a therapist who is dealing with a long standing disease of some other people. You could be a counselor. So the same statement can work differently for different people. Eighth lord shows instability, ups and downs, and sixth house is a house of maternal uncle. So, with this possibility, one's maternal uncle might have had a tough life, unstable life, or a life full of ups and downs is possible. Eighth lord shows deepest fears that you have inside your mind, and it is hidden, something which you do not like to share with people. And sixth house is a house of obstacles and challenges. So if this is badly placed, then there is a possibility of being involved into depression, mental anxiety, overthinking, or strong fears as to what is going to happen in future, because you get hit with multiple obstacles that you start to spiral into the depressive tendencies. So here you have to be very cautious to not go down that spiral and be strong, because you will be able to overcome it at the end of the time period. Now, eighth lord shows criminal activities, and sixth house is a house of victimhood, being taken advantage of, exploitation. It could be mental exploitation as well, right? Just we have to see exactly what the eighth lord is to um, drill down on anything. Now, this, if it is majorly afflicted, then there is a possibility one might resort to work in some sort of criminal gangs. Eighth lord shows secrecy, tantra mantra, black magic, occult, and sixth house is the house of enemies and obstacles. So, if it is afflicted, what eighth lord is, we need to see the entire chart. But again, there is a possibility of secret enemy doing some form of black magic in this placement is also high. Now, eighth lord shows sudden gains of money, and sixth house is a house of fights and legal battles. So, with this placement, possibility of court disputes, legal battles to acquire inheritance is possible. Eighth lord shows emergency situations, sudden events, and sixth house is a house of daily routine. So, with this placement, one's daily routine might involve dealing with sudden events, medical emergencies, and surgeries, any occult astrology related things, spy, detective, privacy, secrecy related things, or taxes, auditing, insurance related work. Eighth lord shows spouse's money, and sixth house is the house of fights, quarrels, and disputes. So, with this placement, there is a possibility of getting into fights, quarrels regarding one spouse's money, wealth, assets, etc. Now, it could be multiple scenarios where this can happen. It could generally mean that your spouse is not able to manage his or her wealth or asset and is doing a lot of expenses. So you enter into fight with your spouse just to explain him or her on the importance of money and why we need to save money for our future, etc., etc. This could be one scenario. Another scenario could be to prove that after your spouse, you should be the one who is the rightful legal owner of those assets, and you might have to fight it out in the court. Another could be kind of alimony, fighting for alimony for in a divorce settlement. So there are multiple scenarios which we can see from the same statement, but we need to see entire chart to see what can possibly turn out. Eighth lord shows spouse's assets, and sixth house is a house of loans and debts. So this can also in some situations show one spouse taking some form of loan during this time. Now, let's say it's fourth lord and eighth lord in the sixth house, so spouse might take a loan for purchasing real estate, right? So in this way you have to see how things work. Now, eighth lord shows secrets, and sixth house is a house of conflicts. So with this placement, hiding secrets might bring conflicts. What kind of secret? It could be some other house's lord as well, right? So secret related to that house, or what exactly is eighth lord, we can see or assess based on that. Now, eighth lord sitting in the sixth house is giving its seventh aspect on the 12th house of imprisonment, hospitalization. So in this time period, it is good placement to provide any kind of physical service in emergency and disaster related response related situations and places. Sudden events, as we already discussed, related to imprisonment, hospitalization is possible. I will in future make separate videos with different type of planets as the 8th lord in the 6th house. If you have this placement in your chart, please do mention your experiences in the comment section. I hope you guys must have liked the video. Please do not forget to subscribe the channel. Also, please do let me know in the comment section below what more videos would you like to see. Thank you.